Yeah, so I think Jax Duraludon's in a phenomenal position right now. You have to obviously worry about the Scarf Dracovish, but Dracovish typically doesn't really have many attacks that can hit Duraludon. You can even switch out to Gastron if you have it in the back, but it's just going to be a Choice Scarf Crunch coming out immediately.
Oh, and that does so much damage to the Jellicent, over half. That's going to put it within knockout range for another crunch, but the Max Wormwind going into the Dracovish slot, and look at how much damage that does as well. It is going to get another knockout, and Jack is just taking these knockouts left and right, getting maximum value from that Duraludon.
Yeah, and, you know, once again, moving first, it really makes me think that it's probably faster here. So we'll see a Max Wormwind in return. Let's see if this is enough to get the knockout. Oh, falls just short.
Barely going to hang on. That is so low in terms of health points, but I think we're also going to see those attack drops, which don't, and I think mattered a little bit more for the other side. But Trick Room, most importantly, going off and will be in favor a little bit of Federico's Duraludon.
Yeah, Trick Room there is an interesting decision, especially because Federico brought the Conkeldurr specifically to counter a lot of the Trick Room Pokemon. You've already committed your Dynamax to Duraludon on Jackson, so I think right now Federico is actually in a great position because of that Trick Room. Jellicent doesn't really pressure either Pokemon with too much damage, so you can pretty much double relatively free. And I think Conkeldurr might be able to really pull this one off.
Conkeldurr going for the Drain Punch. Duraludon doesn't have too many legs to stand on.
ここがもうディスワードしか取られへんからきついっちゃきついんやけど。
That leaves Jack with the last two Pokemon. A Jellicent in the back that's a little bit under half HP, and the Max Wormwind is going to come out first from Federico, and that does so much damage to that Gastrodon.
Yeah, it does so much damage, and I think, you know, Jack's approach was okay.
多分ニンフィア倒すところまでは結構予定調和やったと思うんやけど。
Duraludon and Conkeldurr have not taken any damage on Federico's end. You see, it's the Flame Orb Guts variant here on Conkeldurr as well, so probably be able to get a one-hit KO onto higher Pokemon. So I think because Jack committed the Dynamax to Duraludon earlier, it's going to be really tough for him to actually pull out this win despite setting up the Trick Room. We know that the Duraludon on Federico's end is the Assault Vest variant as well, so you have to double up on this one to get a knockdown. A Mach Punch here should just knock out Gastrodon.
It is going to knock out Gastrodon, which means that Jellicent's going to be the last Pokemon. You can already see the handshake on the stage, but Jellicent going for the Surf just to see what damage it can do. It's giving a little bit more information, just seeing how little that ends up doing. Duraludon firing back with a Thunderbolt. That's going to be enough to get the first game to Federico.
Yeah, that was definitely a swing of momentum there. I felt like Jack had a really early lead. He was able to, you know, distribute so much damage with that Duraludon, but then basically didn't get a great third turn of Dynamax off it, just fainted. And I think it was great awareness by Federico to have that Conkeldurr in the back. I think you have to be bringing it into this matchup for Trick Room specifically, and that's exactly what happened, right? Jack set up the Trick Room maybe a little bit too late. I think one of the approaches he can go with is setting up Trick Room earlier on, although we now know that his Duraludon looks like is faster than Federico's. So I mean, I think Jack's approach there was solid in the beginning, but then I think you have to not necessarily just click Trick Room for the endgame. You have to think a little bit harder about who Federico potentially has in the back. So I think I really like the approach there from the start from Jack.
やりたかった対面できてたはずやのに負けちゃったっていうね。
Federico's is a little bulkier, slower on the Assault Vest variant. So you know, Jack can definitely go with the same lead, but if he wants to, I think you might want to consider not setting up Trick Room. Even if Trick Room just doesn't go up there, you at least have a better matchup because then your Duraludon will get another big attack off.
まあただ飛ぶべくして飛んだ感があるから。
I'm kind of wondering. I mean,
ややこしいなこれ。
Jack's Duraludon got 2 one-hit knockouts back to back. It was faster. It was able to dish out so much damage. Why not bring something like the Charizard in the back after you know that Dracovish is out of the way?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Charizard would be a great Pokemon to have, and like you mentioned, if Dracovish is knocked out, there isn't anything that's really threatening it for like a one-hit KO, other than maybe like something like Dynamax Thunderbolt or Max Electric, for example. But you know, I think now Federico knows, okay, well, Jack's Duraludon is consistently outspeeding me. He didn't bring Whimsicott in that last game, which I was actually pretty surprised to see. So I think, you know, one thing that Federico might be afraid of is, of course, the fake out from the Grimmsnarl.
ちょっと乏しいよな。ってなったら、あ、こうしてきた。うん、こっちは変える必要がないねんもう。猫だましかな。初手見れてへんから大して分かってへんねんけど。大魔してくるやろ。で、ニンフィアがメガネじゃなかったら守るとは思うんだよね。
Duraludon going to Dynamax. So if there is a fake out that comes out from that Grimmsnarl, this Duraludon's going to be completely immune to it.
ニンフィア生かして
Will take the damage, but we're about to
ト
find
リ
out.
ルはも
Grimmsnarl
う
is going to go for the
いいよ
fake out.
来いよ
Goes
くらい
into
の感じに
Sylveon,
しとい
so
てさ
did make the correct call there, but Duraludon gets a chance to go for the max steel spike. It's going to go
そっち
right
に打
into
つ
the Jellicent, but that's not going to be super effective damage. So that Jellicent is going to be
オー
able
ロ
to
ンゲ
hang
吹っ
on
飛ば
and
し
get
て
the
いいと
tap
思うん
off.
だけどな。
Yeah, and I think Federico going for
そう
that
やろ
one to
この
get
人
that
全
defense
体的
into
に
not actually wanting to give Jack a free switch in
HC
from
ベー
the
スや
Trick
ろう
Room,
から
which is
さ
going up. So it's kind of a nightmare scenario if your opponent sets up Trick Room and you give them a free switch, and you'd imagine something like Rhyperior or Gastrodon can just come in Dynamax and start doing a lot of damage. So
ジェラルド H ぶっ
that
ぱや
max
ろ
steel spike was not very effective. It's actually a play that I think makes a lot of
354
sense where now you can at least stall out Trick Room a little bit easier. Both Grimmsnarl and Jellicent are relatively passive Pokemon. So I think this is a good position for Grimmsnarl to go for some support moves if it's going for something like a light screen or a flag. Can also just go for fake tears to start lowering that special defense and getting some damage off. Will-O-Wisp.
Ooh, a Will-O-Wisp, but Sylveon's going to avoid the attack, so Jellicent is actually not going to make a switch now, but this yawn from the Sylveon going into the Grimmsnarl might force a switch from Jack in the future. Max Steel Spike once again going into the Jellicent is just starting to do some chip damage to it and potentially putting it within a knockout range of something like a Dracovish crunch in the back.
I actually really love how Federico is playing this despite Trick Room being up. That's already 2 turns of Trick Room, basically, or 1 turn of Trick Room out of the way. And right now, like, Grimmsnarl is yawn, so you feel pressure to switch it out. But if you switch it out, Sylveon can just yawn whatever slot comes in. Duraludon's increasing the defense for Max Steel Spike, so even if Rhyperior's in the back, it's not going to do very much damage. So Grimmsnarl can continue to spam fake tears, but Federico's playing around Trick Room really well and not giving Jack a free switch in.
Jellicent going for the Surf. Will connect with both Pokemon, but doesn't do very much. But wait a minute, what is this? Grimmsnarl is going to switch out with the eject button. That's going to give Jack a free switch.
Yeah, if there's one way to get a free switch in, that's it. So Gastrodon is going to come in after that Surf, but I mean, the Sylveon can just yawn that slot, and that's exactly what Federico goes for. The yawn tech is just right now. And that's so big. Finally going for a Max Wormrun here to probably pick up the knockout here into Jellicent, and that's just another Trick Room turn gone.
Another Trick Room turn, and Gastrodon is not
すんげえな、波乗りを見てるからもう火力がないと見てさ。でもそれで初手から防御方向詰めてってんねんもんな。で、この初手でトリックルームしてるからドサイド入り読みで B 上げてってっていう話なんよ。すんげえわこれ、この人。
The scary thing here is I think you don't want to get yawned by the Sylveon, so one thing you could do is switch out Gastrodon into the Grimmsnarl, Dynamax the Rhyperior, and then go for something like a Max Quake into Sylveon. Knockout depending on how Sylveon is trained. If Sylveon's able to get another yawn off though against Rhyperior, should it Dynamax here, that would make things a lot tougher. But despite Federico I think playing really well around this.
でこれやったらドサイにダイマ切られても一発耐えるやろうからな。
And he's been able to get it out safely, and it's not going to fall asleep this time.
すげえこれ。
Fall asleep yet, and it's actually going to be time to Dynamax. Jack going for the Dynamax factor onto that Rhyperior. Now we don't know specifically how this Rhyperior is trained or what item it's holding, but if I had to guess, it'd probably be something like a weakness policy, which makes that Rhyperior ever more scary. Sylveon though going for a protect from Federico's side, just in case. Rhyperior or anything goes for a move, but it is going to be an Earth Power from the Gastrodon right into the Duraludon, and that Duraludon with those fake tears is going to go out pretty quickly.
ある程度はしゃあないけどいい方向は硬いよね。で
I'm going to get put to sleep after this yawn, but at least I'll knock out the Duraludon here. I know your assault vested. Got into
トリル次第で寝ちゃった。
At this point, Jack is pretty much relying solely on Rhyperior to really push out damage. Gastrodon, is going to be asleep for a little bit longer. I think Conkeldurr, the right Pokemon for Federico to have here.
トリルターンが残り1ターン。
Right now is to stall out this Trick Room. There's the guts on the Conkeldurr as well, and then you also want to stall out the Dynamax because then you'll be doing so much more damage to Rhyperior. Rhyperior can definitely take Conkeldurr right now, so I think Federico really has to stall out the Trick Room, and Dracovish is the last one here, so Gastrodon actually still provides value despite being asleep.
Yeah, Gastrodon is going to provide some value. Conkeldurr going for the Protect. We saw the Flame Orb on it before that we'll get a chance to proc after this Protect goes off, and most importantly, it's going to protect just in case this Rhyperior decides to go into that slot, but it's actually the Dracovish. Takes that max steals like champ.
Yeah, but another, defense boost here for the Rhyperior. So this is at +2 defense now.
これちょっときついな。
Trick Room was over, but because Gastron is still out on the field, you can't click Fish's Ren, so you're
前側の突破の筋がほぼないもんな。
Rock Slide here can't even flinch Rhyperior because it's Dynamax. So I really like the choice to go for those defense boosts actually.
この 1.2 点でまくられた。
Kinkelder a little bit better. I mean, if you knock out this Kinkelder and you still have the Gastron around, Dracovish is relatively useless, and it's going to be tough to knock out this Gastron. But this is risky. I mean, if Federico actually calls this and went for Fish's Ren into Rhyperior, that would be insane. And no, it's just a crunch.
No, it's going to be a crunch right into the Grimmsnarl. Let's
これ
switch
は
into
な
that
使ってくるとは思うけど。
place. Now Kinkelder's
ドレイン
turn
パン
to
チ集中してくる
attack.
可
It
能性
will
あ
be
るよ
the drain punch right into the
お威
Grimmsnarl
力
as well.
高い
That does a significant chunk of damage, and most importantly, we're going to see that Kinkelder actually moves before
俺がどっ
this
ちか
Rhyperior
な
in
まあ
terms
そ
of
っち
setting.
しんどいよな
And wow, look at that damage.
Yeah, so Jack making the switch there, saying, okay, I have to take a guarantee turn to sleep here. If I get doubled up into something from like a crunch and a drain punch, which is exactly what Federico goes for, then Gastron might even get KO'd. And if Gastron gets KO'd, then you can just switch the Dracovish out, back in, and just click Fish's Ren twice and win the game. So good awareness there. I like the play from both ends. Jack ends up getting the better end of the trade-off, though. Now you also have Grimmsnarl, which can click Fake Out on either.
電磁波巻き込み地震とか面白そうやけど
Choice Scarf, so yeah, I mean, I think that's a easier target here.
そうか守る見てたか
Now, what does Rhyperior go for in terms of an attack? And oh, it's actually a reflect. I like that a lot too.
Interesting. It's been a while since I've seen a Grimmsnarl that's capable of setting up screens, but I really like that from Jack.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, look at how little that does. Rhyperior going for the high horsepower. It is not going to miss this time. Dracovish getting
あれ何や
so low.
馬力
Yeah, and I think it's going to be really difficult for
あの形はわからん
at this point. I mean, there is still that Sylveon in the back, so you can, I mean, maybe get a couple of hyper voices off, but given that this Grimmsnarl had a reflect, I wouldn't be surprised to see a might screen as well. Looks like it's just going to be going for an attack this turn, but look how little
こうして見
damage
るとむっ
Rhyperior
ちゃ
is
硬い
taking
ね
now.
ドサイ
Yeah,
ド
there's a little bit. Oh, but it does get the defense drop, so maybe putting it in a little bit better range here. But the foul play, Dracovish is going to get knocked out, and this is going to be a Pokemon advantage here for Jack. Even look at that drain punch, it does nothing.
Yeah, even after that defense drop, and if Rhyperior connects with a high horsepower, you'll knock out Kinkelder, and it's a 3v1, and there's the weakness policy as well.
まあこれは
Weakness
発動
policy
させてくれ
activated, which means that Rhyperior's attack and special attack are going to
体
be
勢を
increased, so high horsepower going to hit for a heavy amount of damage,
整えさせてもらうのはあれなんだけど
and Federico is down to their last Pokemon for this
でも
game,
なんか
which is that
あっこまで火力
Yeah,
低いの
so
見ると
Sylveon's going to come out, and that is
なんか
probably
弱
the
波
best
発動前
Pokemon
提の
because you can at
感じ
least
が
click
するよ
Hyper
な
Voice, so the question I have here
いくらなんでも
is,
火力
will
低すぎる
Hyper
わ
Voice knock out the Rhyperior? If not, then Rhyperior
あんなウオノラゴンくらいのしかも削れてるやつやったら
But if you're actually able to knock out Rhyperior, I think Sylveon just wins the game.
普通にしてたら
So, Rhyperior's coming out,
だいぶ
no better play to
倒
really
しやすい
go
やろ
for it here on the Grimmsnarl. So let's see if Rhyperior can take this Hyper Voice.
Sylveon going for the Hyper Voice first.
Oh, and it
Oh,
hangs on.
it does hang on, so Rhyperior's going to be able to get off
でも
another attack.
Let's
飛ぶや
see.
ろ
We saw the
さすがに
yeah, heavy slam makes sense. That is what was coming from the max steel spike earlier. So that's gonna knock out Sylveon. We're gonna go to a game 3 here in this best of 3.
How exciting. There's some incredible adjustments to be able to bring this to
すげえな
a game 3.
Yeah, and
なかなか不利な状況やったのに1点2手で巻き返したからな
looked good from Jackson, and I think that game highlights just how good it can be because despite Jack only having 2 turns to work with Rhyperior under Trick Room, he was still able to win because he was able to get these defense boost the Rhyperior up to a point. He made some really nice calls too, going for the max steel spike twice, getting those defense boosts, capitalizing off the protecting, going for that prediction as well. So
初手のあの
great adjustments
不利状況からここまでまくる
I
か
just have to keep it, or I have to put on the pressure early because in that first game he didn't bring that Rhyperior, and so for Federico's
すごい
end,
ね
then you have to ask yourself,
BO3
okay, how do I deny this trick?
でその
One
パー
way
テ
to
ィ
do
ー考える
so
っていうの
is potentially going for that Dynamax on turn 1. For example, if you could Dynamax something like Sylveon instead of the Duraludon, expecting a fake out into that slot and try to double up onto the Jellicent, I think that is definitely one approach to denying Trick Room. And if you deny Trick Room, I think it's a lot more difficult for Jack to win because then he's using really slow Pokemon like Rhyperior and Gastrodon.
Something else that I really liked about the way that Jack ended up playing that second game was their positioning. That Gastrodon ended
まあ
up
とはい
putting
え
so
ラ
much
スト
pressure
も
on Federico to kind of play around that, and I really like that play as well.
まあジ
Yeah,
ラルドン
I mean, one thing we have to talk about that we didn't really mention in our last one was the eject button on Grimmsnarl as well. There's no trick on this Grimmsnarl, so
might
that
cause
might seem a
to-
little odd, but because there's actually the surf on this Jellicent, you can see the synergy where you basically give yourself
初手のジラルドンにフィアでは
in this
結
case,
構後
Federico
取
was
ってた
actually
わけや
able
から
to mitigate that slightly with those yawns, which was a really cool tech move on the Sylveon, explains why he brought it. But yeah, being able to give yourself a free switch and into something like Gastrodon and then surf yourself, I think, is a really, really neat thing to do.
ああ、逆やった、思ってる側と。
It all comes down to this.
Yeah, so the big question here is
右側の人やな。
how do you approach it
ジェ
from
ラルド・
Jack's
ニ
end?
ンフィアでアドは取れてたから、そこの射程は変えてこうへんとは思うんやけど。
But then you have to consider, okay, how does Jack beat the trick room approach? And in my opinion, the best way to beat it is just denying it outright on turn
左の人はあれよ
one
ね。
with a potential like double up,
い
basically.
たずら心プラスジェラルドン・リザードみたいなパーティーやけど。
Consider who he Dynamaxes here. It's going to be the same lead once again. So let's see
変え
if
る
we
必要
get
ないもん。
Jellison and Grimsnarl. It is.
It's going to be Jellison and Grimsnarl. So setting things up just a little bit here, a bit differently. So we will have Jack running that Jellison
でトリックルーム絡めてみたいな感じなんだよね。
Alright, let's use Dynamaxing. I'm wondering, like, you could choose the Dynamax Sylveon here to block the fake out, then go for something like Max Starfall on a Draco Meteor, Dragon Pulse, even a Thunderbolt, whatever your attack is on Duraludon. And it is the Sylveon Dynamax! Alright, did Jack
これトリル打たせたか。
Jellison will probably be going down. That will be huge. That's
トリル打たせてうざかった。
Let's find out.
オーロンギ吹っ飛ばしに来たか。
Fake out.
うん、そらそうするよな。
So huge!
Oh my gosh, the crowd's absolutely wild right now because Duraludon gets a chance to go for the Thunderbolt. It's going to potentially put it into the knockout round. So let's see how much damage it actually gets the paralysis.
Jellison might be able to take a Max Starfall here, so let's see.
これをどっちに打つか。
Will it be
これ
able
で
to
飛
hang
ぶ？
on?
すごい。
No, it gets the knockout. No trick room available for this game.
Yeah, no trick room. So
すごい。餌撒いてた。
Sylveon strong enough to get that knockout once Dynamax, and that is such a big lead here for Federico.
すげえわ。初手
Like we were talking about, you know, now
初手と2回目で餌撒いて3回目でこれ使うか。
staring down a Sylveon which can just go for another Max Starfall.
3回初手一緒でこれ巻くか。
Those are pretty strong. Rhyperior is going to come in. And I think, you know, Rhyperior is still such a good Pokemon in this matchup, but Jack's not out of it by any means. One thing that we saw in the last game is how big of a threat Dracovish can be.
嘘泣きと壁
So, you're on Federico's end, you're assuming that
と
Gastron's
猫
gonna be
と
back.
あとなんやろうってか
It's
あれか
the goal is to just knock out everything around
あの
Rhyperior
イカ
as
様か
quickly as possible. Once you pull that off, then you'll be
様やから
able to just
これは怖くないし正
Sylveon,
直
a great Pokemon to have out in front of a Grimmsnarl.
それは
Just go for
まあ
something
まあ
like
して
another
くるや
Max
ろ
Starfall into that space really, really safely.
Oh my goodness, what a play. I mean, we're going to see whether or not Jack can come back from this. It's going to be the Rhyperior, the Dynamaxes. Is it going to be enough, though? Because it's one of the slowest Pokemon on the field. It's not going to be able to get these attacks off very quickly. And even if it does get those defense boosts, it might not be enough to get through this. Grimmsnarl going for the fake tears onto the Sylveon just to get it ready for a potential attack. But Duraludon gets a chance to go for that Flash Cannon before we see this Rhyperior go, and that's going to be really close to getting the knockout, but not quite. More importantly, there's that eject button again. Grimmsnarl gets a
ああ
chance
も
to
うこれで
switch
裏見れ
out.
ちゃうんか
Yeah, but I
裏
wonder,
見られ
that's
る方
actually
が
a
嫌や
really
な正
cool
直
play. If Gastrodon is in that back here and you're forced to bring it out, it is Gastrodon, and Federico targeted that slot. It's going to be so much damage onto it,
う
and
わ
that's
こ
one
れ
step
きつい
closer to winning
な
with
これいう前提
Dracovish.
やな
Max Starfall goes into the Rhyperior though, but look at how much
Actually,
damage.
really good damage,
yeah, that's about a quarter. Max Quake though, chance to get a fire back from this
クエイク
Rhyperior.
選んでる
To
か
go right
まあ
into
飛ばへん
Duraludon,
もん
and
な
well, that's
ニ
going
ン
to
フ
be a
ィア
knockout. I think we saw that Duraludon get a chance to do a lot of work.
Yeah, getting a lot of damage off there with Flash Cannon. I would have loved to see the double up there into the
ニ
Grimmsnarl,
ンフ
but
ィア飛ばんもんな
still
悩むよ
really,
な
really
こ
good
れ
damage there onto the Rhyperior. That's another turn of Dynamax down from both ends, and so Federico will get a free switch in. I'm really curious whether he has
Politodon.
Dracovish in the back or not, but even if you did have the back, this would not be the position to bring it out in. Your goal is basically to knock out the Gastrodon. Now, one side effect of setting up Misty Terrain is that the Conkeldurr actually won't get the burn from Guts, so it is going to be doing less damage, and so Federico's slowly chipping away at it, but with that Max Quick, you do get a special defense boost. So I'm wondering even if like a Max Starfall and a Drain Punch now will be able to knock out either of these two
自分
Pokemon.
なら
We'll
も
have to
う
see.
守らずに
Gastrodon
突
switching
破
back
させる
out.
よと
Looks like Jack is really relying on Grimmsnarl to get some work done, whether
Ma
it's just
Ninfia
gonna
が
be
通るか
choking
通
up
らん
some
かや
damage
から
or
さ
being able to survive. And then Max Starfall from the Sylveon will be Grimmsnarl taking that, but it's just going to be for
縛ってるからもう
Grimmsnarl getting knocked out in the
守る前
process.
提で
So
動かしたか
Jack's down to their last two Pokemon. Well, Conkeldurr goes for the Drain Punch. Gets it to below half, but the weakness policy procs.
The weakness policy
これ
procs,
だ
and
と
more importantly, Gastrodon is still conserved as well, and his Max Quick
ク
is
選んでんのや
targets, but isn't able to just get another knockout. I mean, Rhyperior might be able to pull this off. It goes into Conkeldurr and gets the one-hit KO. Oh my goodness, this has been a back and forth game.
まあこれで特防2倍か
Such a great turn one, but once again,
それを思えばまあまあ
against Federico's entire team. So
ええの
now
か
Sylveon's Dynamax is going to end. Rhyperior has another turn of Dynamax. It's gotten multiple boosts from that Max Quick as well. Gastrodon
で
loses
これで
all
魚
his
の
boosts. Is it going to be Dracovish? It is Dracovish in the back.
なら
Oh boy.
Oh no.
クランチ据えるから。
into a really difficult situation against Jack's final two Pokemon. Doesn't really have the ability to use that vicious rend. So what is it going to have to go for in this situation?
とりあえず消し済みにするとどうなるの？大魔切れてからニンフィアが重たいか。かといって守られる状況ではあるから、それは来る。ハイパーボイスも来る。これで削れへんのは知ってる。砂でさらに特防を上げてっていう話か。
You know, this is a Rhyperior with +2 special defense and Sand is up now. Her power is not going to do too much damage here, but still a sizable amount actually. That is probably enough where, yeah, even if you knock out the Rhyperior, I think Gastrodon just wins now. So, oh my goodness, this Rhyperior pulled up. Such a great comeback despite Trick Room not being up. Wow.
That's the power of the weakness policy Rhyperior.
And it really goes to show, I mean, like, I think Federico probably doubled up onto that Gastrodon slot, and Jack made a great switch to conserve that Gastrodon, specifically to render Dracovish useless. Let's see if Hyper Voice can get some critical hits here. Oh, Gastrodon hangs on.
Gastrodon's gonna hang on. Rhyperior gets knocked out, but that means that Gastrodon gets a chance to fire back with an Earth Power. We saw how much it did on that last turn, and that's gonna be enough to get the knockout. Oh my goodness, what a series. Wow, congratulations.
Like, I think great adjustments by Jack to realize, hey, Rhyperior is really good in this matchup. The only things you have to really hit me is, you know, that Conkeldurr, but what does Conkeldurr really do once I'm Dynamax? You Drain Punch me, you activate my weakness policy, and then I sweep. And, of course, the one thing on Federico's team that really counters the Rhyperior is that Dracovish, but what's the best answer against the Dracovish? It's a Gastrodon. And Jack did a great job in those games to conserve the Gastrodon, meaning, like, he always had it safely there to protect the Rhyperior. So, great play, great adjustments, and even though he didn't even get that Trick Room up in that third game, was able to eke out with the victory. But I think props to Federico as well. He made some really good plays, and I think Dynamax is exactly what I wanted to see from him to deny that Trick Room.
これをなんか通さなあかんとかっていうところでだいぶ勝負かけてあるよな。
Because as soon as you activate the weakness policy, Rhyperior is going to get a one-hit KO on practically everything. And you know, the other thing I have to question is, you know, is it worth bringing Dracovish in the back? I think the answer is probably still yes, because that is such a good answer against the Rhyperior. But then, you know, it like you saw how smart Jack played with that Gastrodon. He never basically allowed it to get KO'd because he knew, okay, this is my win condition. But I think one thing that could have been absolutely huge was the turn we saw the Flash Cannon go into Grimmsnarl. At that point, you know Grimmsnarl's moveset. You've seen all 4 attacks. It doesn't have something like a Protect. So you can Flash Cannon and go for a Max Starfall into that slot, and that covers every option. Right. If you know, go for the Flash Cannon, he doesn't switch out, which is what happened, then you get a huge Max Starfall off against Gastrodon. More importantly, before any special defense boost comes up, once you get that single Max Starfall, I think Gastrodon is probably in KO range from another Max Starfall, Drain Punch, or Hyper Voice. So I think that was probably the most critical turn that could have been different here for Federico. But Jack, recognizing just how good Rhyperior is, despite going for the fake out onto Dynamax Sylveon, still able to eke out with the victory. And that was so close.
That was so close. It really could have gone either way.
Yeah,
I mean, just a huge back and forth, just so many turns that were so dynamic in terms of who could have been the victor there. But congratulations to Jack Gilbert, going to be our senior champion for the 2020 Pokemon Oceania International Championships. Congratulations.
That was crazy. I'm still shocked.
I know.
I really like it because you see how players adjust and how really smart players are able to figure out what to do, right? Both players made a great adjustment. Jack, after losing that first game, realized, wow, like, you know, Trick Room is really good here, but I didn't even bring out the best Pokemon for Trick Room, which is Rhyperior. I thought Rhyperior was one of the better Pokemon in this matchup.
Right.
I think, like, the Grimmsnarl Jellicent lead is the best way to set up Trick Room, and then Rhyperior in the back. Because without Grimmsnarl, you don't have Fake Out support, so there's no other way to really guarantee Jellicent getting that Trick Room up, so I think that's the best way by far if you want to go set up Trick Room, and then Rhyperior is always going to be in the back. You kind of need Gastrodon to protect the Dracovish, and I think Federico still brought the right Pokemon for the most part. Like, if you look at what he has, you know, can Rotom Heat really do much against Rhyperior and Gastrodon? Absolutely not, so I don't think that's the correct answer. I think, like, and then Conkeldurr, you know, is really strong, but it's tough once Rhyperior gets